Widen your horizon. Just because someone doesn't speak the same way or expresses himself differently from what you're used to does not mean that they are rude or disrespectful. Traveling teaches you a thing or two about people. What's acceptable in one country, in another, is the last thing that you should do.
So I'm going to share some of my cultural experiences when I was traveling. So one of them was in South Korea on my birthday. We decided, let's go have a spa day, let's relax. Well, it turned out to be pretty stressful. So when we went in, we were separated. Nick went one way to the male section, I went to the female section, and I stepped in and I was like, there are so many naked women around. What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to take all my clothes off? But I didn't. I didn't feel comfortable to do that. So I carried on walking through, found the children's section, and I found Nick, fortunately, as well. And we found a swimming pool where we could just do a few laps and then got out. Went back to our own sections, and someone tried to pull my bikini off, showing that it was not allowed to be in a bikini, and looked at me pretty harshly as well for wearing a bikini. I didn't feel very comfortable with that, so I left. And yeah, that was on my birthday. Another time, China. So when I was in China, I saw lots of people spitting on the street. This was in Beijing, and not even on the street, but also in 5-star swimming pools in the drains. I thought that was pretty disgusting. Another one, so in Japan, we were staying in a hotel. Again, there was an onset in the hotel, and on the wall it was written down that you had to be naked to be in there. If you wore a bikini, that was like breaking the rules. So yeah, we only went when we thought there might not be anyone in there. If there was, then we just quickly left. It was obviously separated into female and male, but I didn't really feel comfortable with that. At the other side of the spectrum, we went to Malaysia and some other countries where if we only wore a bikini, people looked at us weirdly because we should have been covered up completely. So you see two different sides that are completely different. One thing that's expected in one country might be completely the opposite in another country.
I have learnt many things from living in Britain, but there are some cultural norms that I haven't found as helpful. The world is very mixed up now, and we cannot change people into what's acceptable in our eyes, but can try to see the positive in the way they are and learn from them. I think in every country there are some positive cultural norms, some that perhaps are not as much. It's good to discern what's positive and what's not so, and it's okay to say, I don't think this is helpful for me, and not to copy everyone around you just to be accepted, but still be respectful.
Some other experiences, so when I was in Morocco, some people grabbed me, literally physically pulled me and forced me to have a henna on my hands. And then after that they said we needed to pay quite a lot of money, and yeah, we just sort of walked up and gave them some money, but they made us feel really horrible. And other times, for example in Cambodia or India, kids were pulling me and like begging on the street, and they were pulling my clothes. It wasn't a great experience, and I'm not saying that scamming is right. However, we don't know what these people have gone through. We don't know their lives. We don't know what's got them to this place where they have to be forcing people to ask for money. And often people do things differently. So when I came back from traveling, I suddenly noticed all the people saying please, thank you, sorry, and I was like, oh yeah, politeness, you need to say that. And actually it made me reflect. Just because we say those 3 words, it doesn't mean that you're polite and the other person isn't. So when I went back to England, there was a British girl who said she went to India and she found Indian children really rude. And I just thought, just because they don't speak the same way as you, that doesn't mean that they're rude and you are the right one. Just because they were brought up differently, just because they understand the world a bit differently, that doesn't mean that you're in the right and they're in the wrong. And I think we could learn from one another so much if we actually opened up and gave each other a shot and tried to understand each other's situations and where we come from as well. Not necessarily unnecessarily judging each other just because we're different.
London is one of the most multicultural cities in the world, and I think that's pretty cool. It could bring so many opportunities of learning and growth. But people seem to stick to their own groups and things that they know. Different ethnicities seem to live in the same area. I think we are all afraid of the unknown. But do we have to be? As a Christian, I'm called to love and forgive everyone, even those who've hurt me and continue to do so. But this is not easy, as none of us are perfect. All of us have pre-assumptions about people, and we often judge without knowing them. What if, instead of looking at the outside, we put all of our reservations aside and just simply get to know each other? Get to know each other's story and see how we can support each other. Step out of what you're familiar with, and you might start to see the world from a different light.